guys, good morning. Hope you got your coffee. So today I'm going to go back to editing DT&T a little more. I finished my fast read through, so if you didn't catch my last video, I walked you through how I do my edits after a first draft. So I'll link it above in the cards or below in the description so that you can check it out. But the first thing that I do is a fast read through, and usually I have my computer read it to me while I follow along. And I make all the changes, like notes for all the changes that I want to make with my red pen. That way, when I go back to editing, I have like what I want to do. My next step is to do to fill in like my placeholders, which I have started. So my first act is pretty well complete as far as big picture things. It's pretty solid. So to change it up a little bit, I'm going to go through the first act and do my line edits. So looking at like taking out just, because I use that a whole lot, and just taking out any filler words really, making sure sentence structure is okay, taking out passive voice. I also use adverbs a lot, so I want to try to cut those out as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, is working on the first act. And I thought it would be really cool to show you like a side-by-side comparison of my first chapter. So you guys get a first look. Nobody else has read this first chapter except for a very close friend of mine who I let her read things as I write them just because it's encouraging. But nobody else has seen this first chapter, and just keep in mind that it is very raw. This is essentially the first draft and the second draft, but I just want to show you how I change things, how I take out words and restructure sentences and add things just to make it a little better. So if you're excited, let's go jump in and do that. Okay, so I have my printed out copy of the first chapter. So I went through, as I said, and just marked it all up with changes that I want to make, as well as I underlined all of my adverbs and my justs, because I use those a lot. And I might not remove all of them, but I at least have them all marked so that I can look at the sentence and see if it makes sense without the adverbs and the justs, and then if it does, I'll delete them. So let's see here. Adverb, just. I rearranged this sentence a little bit just to make it a little more clear. Down here, again, I was trying to take out some of the I feel and an adverb, so I rearranged it, making more clear. Like I said, I use a lot of justs, a lot of adverbs. Here I use trick and trick twice very closely, so I changed this trick just to kind of avoid that. A lot of justs. Here it was just kind of too wordy. My low cut black v-neck crop top was just a little too much, so we took out v-neck because if it's low cut, I mean v-neck can almost be implied or it's just not necessary. Here I broke up this sentence because it was just a little too wordy. It was originally, my long black hair falls over my shoulders with its deep blue highlights matching my blue eyes framed in thick eyeliner. Again, just too wordy, so I broke it into two sentences. My long black hair falls over my shoulders. Its deep blue highlights match my blue eyes framed in thick eyeliner. Over here, I just put a note. I had written another scene because later on, Luna needs to have a stick of chalk in her bedroom, and there's really no reason for her to have a piece of chalk except if one of her siblings brought it in. And in the first draft, I have it written that she just says, oh, this was left by one of the kids. But I figured it would be better to show that it was left, so kind of foreshadowing that there's this piece of chalk left here. but also it gives a little more interaction between Luna and one of her siblings, because Luna has a lot of jealousy that she won't admit is jealousy. So adding this scene adds to that, as well as gives her that piece of chalk, so a little bit of show rather than tell. Down here, this was more passive voice, since it had being, so I just reworded it just to remove the passive voice. A lot of more justs. Here I just wanted to be a little more precise. Mom stands in the kitchen doorway, arms folded across her body, hidden under a vibrant pink cupcake apron, is a little more concise rather than brightly colored. In my opinion, it just gives me a little more mental image. I do want to reword this sentence. I just don't like how it flows. Her wavy blonde hair is tied back, leaving out a few loose strands that stick to her forehead. I mean, it's not bad, but I think I want to reword that. More adverbs. Here, this is also a really long sentence that I may end up rewording, but I also want to add to it, so I'm probably going to have to add and break up. But I just want to add that she does take care of the kids. That kind of tells us how many's in the family. Let's see. I always struggle with past and past, but, you know, there we are. Adding some commas for dialogue tags. And then this last page wasn't too bad. Up here at the top, I had outside the setting sun sets a fiery glow, and I'm just like, set, you know. So we changed that to casts. And then I changed it from autumn to spring because later on in the book, Luna is away from home and she's kind of outside a lot. And if it's autumn, that means that it's going to be winter. And I don't think the story's going to make as much sense if she's outside and it's not snowing in the wintertime. So we changed it to spring. And just more justs and adverbs. So that's kind of how I mark it up and what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to put these changes into my actual document, and then we'll read through the first chapter and see that it flows much better.
I've said it many times, I know I would change my ways, I know for sure. When all the crows decide to meet, they settle down beneath my feet. I've got it right and I got it wrong, but I learned my lesson hanging on. Come sit here with me by the fire and let it go for a little while. So be here as the night starts falling. Let my fingers walk over your head. We got nothing to be scared of. I'd rather be with you than by myself. Now all is in your hands. When I was young, I thought control would lead me to an ending road. And heavy metal
So I just put in all of my changes into my document, and now we're going to go read that first chapter together. Like I said, just keep in mind that this is just the second draft, so it's absolutely not perfect. It's still got several rounds of editing to go, including my manuscript critiquer, my betas, my editor, my proofreader. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but I thought it would be really cool just to show you guys the first chapter of my new novel.
Chapter 1, Luna. I'm an invincible witch. Well, that's my working theory. It's not actually a definitive diagnosis. What I do know is I've never been seriously hurt, just a scratch or bruise that heals the same day. Even when I fell off the monkey bars at school and landed with my arm out to catch myself, not a broken bone to be had. Then there's that time that Mom and I were in a car accident. The little Chevy folded up like an accordion and all the airbags deployed. Mom had a broken collarbone, but I walked away unscathed. Now, I haven't tested this theory, but I also haven't tried to avoid danger. I can also move things with my mind. Well, I can pick my pencil up a few inches off my desk, but still, definitely witchy. At night, I can hold it longer. Oh, and I can feel someone else's emotions. I don't know whose emotions share living space in my body, but they're as strong as my own. I used to think that they belonged to whoever I was talking to, but they've never lined up. I could be talking to Carter, who's revved about his new bike, beaming like an idiot, with a bright orange aura. Did I mention I could see auras too? But that extra inhabitant in my mind could be absolutely miserable. My mom says I'm going through a phase. I showed her what I could do with the pencil to prove my powers, but she thinks it's a magic trick, invisible wire or something. My invincibility is luck. The auras are my overactive imagination. And the emotions? She had me tested for schizophrenia once. That obviously went nowhere, and now it's an unspoken rule that I don't bring it up anymore. It's easier without those arguments. We have plenty of those about school, my friends, my clothes. Speaking of clothes, I seriously couldn't look hotter. I slide my hands down my sides, following the curves of my body. My low-cut black crop top ties above my navel, and my short purple checkered skirt sits low on my hips, with 2 chain loops layered over the pleats. I lace up my black combat boots and step back to admire myself in a full-length mirror. My long black hair falls over my shoulders. Its deep blue highlights match my blue eyes framed in thick eyeliner. I bite the right corner of my lower lip, flicking my tongue over the backings of my lip rings. The 2 silver loops cross each other, making an X on my lip. Something I let 2 high girls do at one of Carter's parties. I hope Dean likes how I look as much as I do. Without warning, Tony burst into my room. "Luna, look what I drew." The loud, overexcited 7-year-old shouts as she shoves her chalkboard toward me. "Tony, what have I told you about being in my room?" I turn my sister around and shuttle her toward the door. A piece of chalk falls from her hand, clutching several other pieces. "But I wanted to show you my drawing," she protests. Once her body is in the hallway, I let go. "Why don't you go show Mom? She doesn't have a problem giving her attention to stupid stuff like that." I slam the door and wait for her to stomp away. I sigh and snatch my wallet with the zipper mouth emoji off my unmade bed. I steal another glance in the mirror and then peek behind my blackout curtains. Carter sits on his motorcycle outside my house. What are the chances that I make it out to him without Mom stopping me? I tiptoe down the stairs as quietly as my clunky shoes allow. Why must I sacrifice practicality for style? Amazingly, I reach the bottom of the steps without a squeak. I just have to pass the kitchen doorway and the front door is mine. Luna Eve Grayson. Apparently my odds are terrible. I cringe and turn to face Mom. She stands inside the kitchen doorway, arms folded across her body, hidden under a vibrant pink cupcake apron. Her wavy blonde hair is tied back, leaving out a few loose strands that stick to her forehead. Her brown eyes travel disapprovingly over my body. Mom always said that I took after my father in the looks department, and as I grow older, apparently in the behavior department as well. While she stays home, slaving over her 3 large hot ovens, managing her baking business, and raising all 7 of us kids, I'd rather be out having fun, evading responsibilities. Her words, not mine. Do you honestly think that I'm letting you go out dressed like that? I roll my eyes. What's the big deal? Everything important is covered. Barely. You're not leaving much to the imagination. Go put on a coat. Ugh, Mom. Now. I groan, but turn on my heels, over-exaggerating the steps back to my room. I sift through the sea of black clothing in my closet. My leather jacket will have to do. It matches the motorcycle aesthetic anyway. I stomp back downstairs, past the kitchen, and beeline for the front door before Mom has a chance to veto my choice. I'll be back later, I call as I yell halfway out the door. You'll be back before 10, she calls after me. Ish. Outside, the setting sun casts a fiery glow across the quiet residential neighborhood. It would be a peaceful spring evening, were it not for the rattling idle of Carter's motorcycle. He rests in its seat, hands on the handlebars as if ready to ride off without me. He wouldn't dare. Hey, Voodoo Girl, need a lift or are you riding your broom tonight? Shut up. I playfully punch his arm. I straddle the motorcycle behind Carter and lock my arms around his waist. Before taking off, he hands me a helmet. I shake my head, but he shoves the helmet closer to my face. Don't argue. I don't care if you're immortal. I'd rather not chance seeing your brains splattered on the pavement. I huff, but take the helmet and slide it over my head. I'm not immortal. I'm invincible. There's a difference. How do you know you're not both? I haven't lived long enough to test it yet. I'll let you know when I'm 200. For all I know, you could already be 200 and look good for your age. Maybe you feed off the beauty of unsuspecting children to stay youthful. You watch way too many Disney movies. Quit being a moron and let's go. Dean's party is supposed to be lit, and I don't want a chance missing it because you're cracking jokes. I squeeze Carter's waist as he kicks his foot up and speeds off toward the party of the century.
Okay, that's it for this video. I hope that you found it helpful and kind of interesting to see how I edit, and I hope that you enjoyed that first chapter. I'm definitely not an audiobook reader, although it's something I would definitely like to work on and try, but still, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in next week's video where I will hopefully be wrapping up my editing and show you what the next steps are. But if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button, and make sure you ring that little bell so that you don't miss a video, and I will see you next time.